General personnel, this is your 5-minute warning.
1 week a year,
Program code number
the
2.
desert is alive
5 minutes, start.
with spectacular
5
airplanes,
minutes, still ramp code 2.
daring pilots, and jaw-dropping speed.
Control Tower, copy 5 minutes, program code
It's the
number 2.
fastest racing in the world, period. And you are here just in time.
It's the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
Well, who can resist it? Chance to watch the fastest motorsport on the planet? 150,000 people here in Reno this week can't resist the opportunity to come out to see the displays, watch the crews in action, watch these exquisite works of art. These airplanes carve the sky in excellent racing. Pylon racing on a race course in the sky defined by pylons on the ground. Tommy Sanders and Steve Stavrakakis, the air show announcer, pilot, the wild thing, with us again today.
Tommy, it's great to be back to my favorite week of the year, Reno Race Week, right here at Stead Field, Reno, Nevada. First off, we're going to talk about our Jet and Unlimited course. This is an 8-mile course around the desert right here at Stead Field. Okay, our pilots are going to come down the chute, as we call it, in line abreast formation. When they get to the starting point, our pace plane is going to peel up and out of the way. He's going to say, gentlemen, you have a race. Let's go to our pace plane now, to the cockpit, and listen as our pace plane pilot releases our racers onto the course.
Base control, jet base in the chute.
Jet base, thank you.
At a 7,000 feet, accelerating through 240 knots. We have Silver Racers bringing out on the line, looking good. Looking for 2 L29s to move it forward. 20 seconds, please. Keep it up, gentlemen. Looking good. On the line. Come on, 4, bring forward. Approaching our release speed. Hold the line, gentlemen. Hold the line. Looking real good. Looking real good. Gentlemen, Silver Racers, ladies and gentlemen, you have a race.
You heard it, you have a race. At this time, our pilots are going to stay in their respective lanes until they get to the guide pylon. That's the light on the mountain directly ahead of them. They have to stay in their lane. They can accelerate, but they can't change lanes until they get to the light on the mountain. They're there now. At that time, it's going to be a sharp left turn, race on.
Well, this race is the Jet Silver race. It represents an opportunity for one of these airplanes to make it into the gold race, the final race. You gotta win, though, if you want to have the opportunity and the option to go into that gold race.
Now, one of my fellow countrymen, P. Savridis, he's been running really, really well all week long. He's out front right now, but he's been getting a heck of a run by Bob McCormick flying that little Yugoslavian Soko Galeb jet. Now, the Soko is a Yugoslavian-built jet that I refer to as the world's fastest Yugo.
No, you don't. Okay.
It's been doing great all week. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Again, the Yugoslavian Soko Galeb G2A.
Going to get some speeds approaching 500 miles an hour. That's a characteristic of this jet class. Speeds we see today in this race will not be as fast as those in this afternoon's race. That's the upper part of the brackets, if you will. But again, for this field, win and you're into the gold round, the championship round on Sunday.
You know, our race leader, P. Savridis, he's an FA-18 pilot, flies the Hornets, and his call sign is Tool. Okay, all you guys out there, at one time or another, we've all been called a tool. It holds a special meaning when your FA-18 squadron mates nickname you Tool.
I should say so. We are flying this 8-mile course here. We're doing 6 laps around. Will take us just under 50 total miles for this race, 46.99.
Tommy, I love these cockpit views. Look at the view these pilots are getting as they cover this real estate at almost 2.5 football fields per second.
Jet base now on a beam.
Absolutely impressive to watch these big jets go by so fast and so close to the deck right here. It must have been something about 18, 20 years ago when this started as an exhibition thing with MiG fighters with the swept wings and the afterburners getting after it on the course.
Well, these aren't MiGs, but the competition is no less fierce as these guys are out there doing whistling thunder. P. Savridis is holding off Bob McCormick in the much lighter Soko jet. Again, they've had a heck of a race all week long, and it's continued on into today's silver race.
You're right, 13.
And I was on the pole, started at number 1, and I was trying to hold off the Soko jet and Bob, and it was an awesome race. I knew he was about probably 0.2 of a second behind me. I knew he was doing that the whole way, and I just tried to fly the best line I could. All week long, he's been about 1/10 of a second behind me, about 2 plane lengths behind me, and so the goal is just to try to fly the best line we can.
White flag, white flag.
Final lap for these two in this race, make no doubt about it, is all about these two planes right here. And we heard Pete Stavridis talking about it, the slim margin of advantage he's been able to hold over Bob McCormick. Will this be a margin of advantage he's able to hang on to for one more lap?
Now keep in mind, one cut pylon could be the difference in this because it's a 4-second penalty, and Bob McCormick is not 4 seconds behind him.
Charlie, I'm coming up on your right at pylon 4. Copy.
Pete Stavridis trying to hang on to this again. If he wins, he'll have the option to go into the gold round, the championship round of competition here at the Reno Air Races.
Pulling positive G's, getting ready to go wings level for the last time in the Valley of Speed. One last dash as they set up for pylons 7, 8, 9. This will be the last turn as they get ready to hit the steel start-finish pylon for the victor in this silver race, the prelude to this afternoon's gold.
Bob McCormick so patient, doggedly hanging on right on the tails of Pete Stavridis. Can he make any sort of move in the final closing seconds of this race to make it happen for him and close out Stavridis and move on to the gold round? It doesn't look like he's going to catch him. There we go, past the start-finish pylon.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
And it's going to be Pete Stavridis. He's headed to the gold round, the championship. Very slim margins in between the top two. Onslow, Harnacle, Turney, Fire, and Camilleri round out the field here. When we come back, jet travel's the high-speed standard of today. The standard of a century ago were these planes, the biplanes, and they're still racing and racing hard.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races are proudly presented by Reno Tahoe. Check out visitRenoTahoe.com. Travel Nevada, don't fence me in. And brought to you by STIHL, the #1 selling brand of gasoline-powered handheld outdoor power equipment in America. You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races, presented by Reno Tahoe.
Reno Tahoe. We can't say enough about this unbelievably wonderful destination. If you're going to come for any reason, you will enjoy your time here. You love the smell of fresh ambition in the morning. Gotta tell you, there's not many places in this country where you can kayak world-class rapids in the middle of a bustling downtown, or you can mountain bike in the high desert foothills just 15 minutes from downtown. Reno has it all. 300 days of sunshine throughout the year. Man, you can get a lot of fun done with a visit to Reno Tahoe. We can recommend it to you. We can also recommend sticking around for this race, where this is a classic airplane here. The biplane, it's century-old. We're getting ready for this round of racing, Biplane Heat 2A.
Now you'll notice one of the distinct differences in the takeoff with our biplane class is they're the Grand Prix style standing start. There's 3 rows abreast. They take off when the flag goes up, they get ready. When the flag comes down, they throttle up. They take off in staggered lines. Once on the course, they'll go one full lap, and the laps will start when they come back around and cross the steel start-finish pylon. Now, some of the limitations on our biplanes are 360 cubic inches maximum rating on the engines. They have to have 2 wings, of course, to be a biplane. They have to have fixed gear, a fixed pitch prop, no turbos, and no funny fuel. Now, you notice I said fixed pitch prop. This brings strategy into play because they have to stop and think. Do they want a flat pitch prop, which is like taking off in a lower gear? It's going to get them up on the course quicker, but they're also going to run into that speed wall of RPMs. Do you want a high-pitch prop, like taking off, pedaling your bike in a higher gear? You're going to have a tougher time getting to speed, but once there, you're going to have more top speed. A lot of strategy goes into play when you have a fixed pitch prop, as these biplanes do.
We are picking up the action in lap 4 of 6 laps around our short course right here. Right now, it's Eric Zine in the lead. Last year's runner-up, 2016 runner-up in biplane, being pursued very closely by Jake Stewart, Sam Swift.
Now you want to talk about Swift? The swiftest airplane out there right now is Jake Stewart.
Race 10, passing 3 and 17.
Look at the move he's getting ready to make on Eric Zine and Swift. Tommy, check this out.
I'm going to cut it inside, Eric. Watch out.
Oh my goodness, what a move by Jake Stewart. Jake Stewart won our Heat 1A, and he's looking to do the same thing right here. A masterful, bold move. He had something in reserve, I think, Steve.
What a commanding lead he took in one swift pass, no pun intended. You know, if these little biplanes look tiny, they are. Actually, the engine, prop, airframe, wings, everything combined weighs less than a Harley-Davidson motorcycle.
So very agile, they really are the quarter horses of the sky. And it looked like you'd have perfect 360 vision, but you got that wing on top, so it is occluded just a little bit. It takes a little care in passing, moving around with traffic in the area. But these guys are so good, and the best of them all right now is Jake Stewart. That eye-popping pass he pulled off just a few moments ago.
White flag, white flag.
Really gave him the advantage. All he's got to do is hang on, and he is looking at pole position in the gold.
But you talk about some competition. Let's look back at second and third. Eric Zine and Swift, they've got a race of their own going on here. Look at Sam. He's trying to drop the nose and catch Eric Zine. Eric's got a commanding lead, but we know it's not over till it's over with these guys. And one of the key things about flying formation or racing is to know where your wingman or your competition is, especially at these speeds, this close together, this close to the ground, Tommy.
These speeds are so impressive. You think of this as an aerobatic plane. Who knew they could move so fast and yet be so agile at the same time? Eric Zine has got to hold off Swift if he wants that second spot in the pole position lineup. Time and distance are ticking away. Not much time left in this race. Swift continues to move in on Zine, but look at Jake Stewart, masterful in the second half of this race. After that bold passing maneuver, he is just about ready to get his ticket punched into the pole position.
Checkered flag, runway 8, wind.
And that's a win for Jake Stewart.
You know, Jake Stewart flew almost a perfect race, and a perfect race is what it's going to take between Sam Swift and Eric Zine. Oh, there was a bobble right there. That may have been, it was. That's all it took to take him out of the perfect race category.
Absolutely drama at the end of this one. That is our Dash Digital Cash pass right there. One little bobble, and you just can't afford to do that, Steve.
And there's the bobble right there. That's all it took to load up those wings, create a little bit of drag, and open the door for Sam Swift to walk on by.
Sam Swift in second place right there. That's the second pole position. I thought you might want to see it from inside the cockpit here. He gets an eyeful of what goes on right below him, and Sam Smith, a little smile, he says, you know what? I am smoking hot. Or at least that's the name of my airplane. So great racing in the top 3 positions in this biplane race. Let's take a look at the leaderboard right now and look at that speed by Jake Stewart, over 200 miles an hour, just hundredths of a second really, separating Sam Swift and Eric Zine. And Jeff Rose, last year's champion in biplane, coming in 4th place. When we come back,
The world's fastest home builds.
absolutely right, Sport Heat coming up here. Can anyone catch Jeff Lavelle?
You're watching the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
You know what? We're loving it here in Reno Tahoe. This is an absolute playground for anyone who loves to enjoy the outdoors. You can see more, do more, and be more. From mountain biking to off-roading to kayaking right in the middle of town to rock climbing. How about the tallest man-made climbing wall perched 164 feet above downtown, smack in the heart of Reno. The biggest little city in the world where they are up for anything. And right now we are up for some sport class racing, built at home but oh so fast, and we are ready to get started with Sport Heat 3A.
Okay, we got about 40 degrees to go. Move them up. You're looking good. Looking good. Looking real fine. Nice job, 39. Yeah, gentlemen, you're looking good. Gentlemen, you got a race.
Tommy, I hope our fans at home caught that. The pace plane for this sport class is a jet. These guys are going so fast they can no longer use a propeller-driven turboprop as the pace plane. They're using a jet to do this.
30, 47 clear.
Well, out in front, no surprise, race 39. Jeff Lavelle absolutely blew the field away in his previous 2 heats here, and he is just on his way to another pole position in the gold.
Yeah, he sure is. He's our reigning sport class champion, and he set new standards by which these guys will be chasing for several years. He blew away the 400-mile-an-hour mark in an airplane you can build in your garage. Again, this is a Glass Air 3. It's actually an older kit plane running a twin turbocharged 6-cylinder air-cooled engine that's been untouchable for 2 years in a row now.
Thank you, clear.
Jeff Lavelle won his 5th national championship last year, 2016, right here in Reno. Of course, he won his first heat coming out with a speed of 381 plus miles an hour, more than 10 miles an hour faster than his nearest competitor in Heat 1A to start the racing on the first day of heated competition here in Reno.
Now, minimum qualifications to run the sport class are you can have no more than 1,000 cubic inches, you have to be able to go at least 200 miles an hour, and you have to be amateur or kit-built aircraft, but they do have a very relaxed set of guidelines because they encourage these guys to color outside the lines, which they all do in the interest of speed. on board with Jeff Lavelle in that lightning fast Glass Air 3. But look at this. Third place airplane Andrew Findlay is making the move on Bob Mills. He's got the altitude. Let's see if he can trade that for airspeed, make a legal pass. As Andrew Findlay sets up one moment, that's the steel-powered aircraft, as he tries to set up and pass Bob Mills in the Glass Air Mojo.
You're clear 30.
Andrew Findlay moving into second place. Andrew Findlay in one moment finishing fifth place in the previous heat can certainly improve his standing if he can maintain this second place position. A lot of racing yet to go, though. 4 more laps around this course.
You know, it's easy to see why the sport class has become such a crowd favorite. Again, these are airplanes you can build in your own garage as amateur kit built. They're going faster than a stock Mustang on a fraction of the horsepower in an airplane you built in your garage. This is just simply amazing.
Yeah, it's really mind-blowing. You know, we talk about our Reno Tahoe Top Gun. That's someone who does great things on the course or has an interesting backstory. Well, Peter Balmer of Switzerland is in this race, and it's his backstory that makes him our Reno Tahoe Top Gun.
My name is Peter Balmer from Switzerland, and I fly for a living. I have a skydive operation in Interlaken, Switzerland, and we also operate Pilatus PC-12, PC-6, and also 2 helicopters. I was always want to be a pilot, but until I turned 30, I didn't have the money to put in to learn to fly, and I came over to the US and learned to fly and went over to Switzerland, and I had that idea to set up that business with skydiving and glacier flying, and that's what I'm doing for the last 20 years, and it grew into a business, and I'm pretty happy with it. So we are racing since 2014, and every year we try to improve the airplane a little bit to get faster and faster every year. This year we are about 25 miles ahead of last year, so we're pretty happy about that. And hopefully we can continue this route and be faster for 18 and 19.
It's our Top Gun, Peter Balmer, an adrenaline junkie himself who spends his life enabling other adrenaline junkies. You could do a lot worse than that. You could certainly do completely worse than Jeff Lavelle. This guy totally in control of this racing class. Why is he so good, Steve?
White flag, white flag.
Personally, Tommy, I think it's because he's not experimenting at every flight. He's taken a rock-solid airframe in that Glass Air 3. He's taken a proven engine, put 2 turbochargers on it, so it's still fairly safe and reliable. So he's not trying to reinvent the wheel with something exotic that he's having to recreate with every flight. He knows the airplane, he flies it well, so all he does, this is just another day at the office for him, and he doesn't get paper cuts. So again, watch how smooth he is as he stays down on these pylons. It's almost like the airplane's on a computer chip, and that's a key to winning here at Reno.
Doesn't make mistakes, and of course when you've got not a single day of racing but a week of racing, it's important not to break a lot of important things too, and he's keeping everything together. His team works obviously great.
Checkered flag, landing runway 8, wind 100 at Niner.
As he passes the start-finish pylon to collect gold post position. Check it out now. Who's coming in second place? Well, absolutely, it's Andrew Findlay. That pass earlier in the race and was able to hang on to that second spot throughout the remainder of the laps here. Here's your official results right there. Well, Jeff Lavelle beat the field by 10 miles per hour on average in the last heat. This one, he almost doubles that margin. Just an absolutely dominating performance. Some good performances coming up next for you. We're back to our roots with Formula One racing.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races are presented by Reno Tahoe. Visit renotahoe.com. Dash Digital Cash, the evolution of money. And powered by STIHL, built in America, believing in America.
Back in Reno, and besides the air races, hey, all week long we've got drone races. The Multi-GP Drone Racing Championship continues. It started with 150 of the best drone pilots from around the nation, and after 2 days of fast competition and elimination, they're cutting that field down to see who's in the final race.
Get ready for the biggest event of rotor sports.
3 laps away from our final 4. Going to our finale of the 2017 Multi-GP Drone Racing Championships here in Reno. Into the final 4!
One final race remains to see who's crowned the national champion.
Okay, we're back to the main runway right here at Reno State Airport
Wind 140 at 7.
for the Grand Prix style start of the Formula One Silver Race. Now, by Grand Prix style start, you'll notice all these airplanes are taking off from a standing start. The green flag goes up for ready, the green flag goes down to start these aircraft. Now, this is where a lot of strategy comes into play. You notice our black airplane number 4 right here, he's staying on the ground a lot longer. That tells me he's got a higher pitch prop. He's starting off in a higher gear than what some of these other aircraft are.
All clear.
Imagine taking off on your bicycle. If you're in a higher gear, it's going to take you a while to get that bike, the inertia going, and get up to speed. However, once you get up to speed, you're going to have a lot more top-end power. These airplanes that jumped off the ground early, that tells me they've got a flat pitch prop, so that's like taking off in low gear. Gets them on the course sooner, but they're going to run into a speed wall here later on in the race, whereas that black number 4 is going to keep on coming. If the race is long enough, that choice of prop is going to pay off for him. Now, these aircraft, this is one of the oldest classes. It started in 1936 as the midget racing course. They run Continental 0200 engines, that means 200 cubic inches. That's the same kind of engine you find on a Cessna 150 or 152. They make about 100 horsepower in stock configuration. These guys right now are making over 160 plus horsepower out of the same Continental 0200 engine.
You're right, Ken.
The difference, they're not running a 72-inch propeller. They're running a short 54-inch race-prepped prop. They're short and wide. The shorter the prop means they can spin them faster, RPMs or horsepower. Instead of turning 2,750 RPMs like you would in a Cessna 150, these guys are running up to 4,500 RPM, getting every ounce of power and speed out of these little Continental 0200 engines.
Well, right now we need to start focusing on what's going on the backside of the race course, because we are seeing signs of a close-fought battle for second place. The way it seems to be playing out, you can see it here. David Holmgren in race number 6, Aero Magic, right now in third place, is ascending, going high, getting some altitude over the red plane. That's Rajard Zato in race 15, last lap player. Holmgren is sacrificing a bit of speed to get up there as the two planes are in the turn now. Now they're heading in our direction. And yep, there he goes. Now Holmgren in number 6, diving, obviously picking up some good speed on the 15 plane.
All clear.
Aero Magic has done it right here in front of the grandstands. Number 6 has taken over second place.
Stop. Go ahead. On your right, Philip. Right.
Attention all aircraft, runway 8 is fouled.
If you haven't been to Reno to join us up here for the National Championship Air Races, you want to get out to the course early in the morning. We run our biplanes and our Formula Ones early in the morning because these aircraft are so small and so light, they're very, very susceptible to gusty winds, especially on landing with that narrow landing gear and the tail dragger configuration. So you're going to see some of the tightest racing you've ever seen with these Formula Ones, but if you don't get out to the course before 10 o'clock, you're probably going to miss them.
8 fouled. Affirmative, 8 is fouled.
Well, meanwhile, on the course right now, that lead for Suede Ron looked pretty good just moments ago, but now David Holmgren making a significant charge from third place. He's past second place. Now he's challenging, and now he has passed Ron. It's Holmgren, race number 6, in the lead right now. Some good tight racing at the front of this field.
Matter of fact, that pass just kind of exemplified the difference between the taper wing and the older style, the long chord Hershey bar wing. There's a great plan form right there where you can see them, the yellow wing being the square Hershey bar style, the white one being that taper wing. However, they both have the same square footage of 66 square foot of wing area. There's a great cockpit shot showing that yellow string. There's the yaw string. Again, that yellow string eliminates the weight of a turn and bank indicator in the cockpit. They'll do anything they can to save weight on these aircraft, get them down as close as they can to that 500-pound minimum weight.
One thing you said, your pilot weight has to be at least one. Do they have a weigh-in for the pilots, like at a boxing match, Steve?
They actually do. They are very, very critical about their standards. So again, aircraft have to weigh at least 500. Pilot and gear, that's helmet, flight suit, and whatnot, has to weigh at least 150 pounds.
Steve, seriously, how many 150-pound or lower pilots are there available to race in these races?
You know, Tommy, I didn't want to bring that up. Some of these pilots haven't seen 150 pounds since they were in the 4th grade.
Steve keeping it real right there, that is for sure, and you got to at this point. Holmgren with a good lead right now ahead of Ron. Race number 8 and Zato race number 15. Still got a lot of racing left to go, barely halfway through. We're doing a full 8 laps around our small course, our short course, which is about 3 miles long. Let's race this Formula One silver race.
The Formula Ones have often been considered the beginner class or the starting class for air racing for the fact these aircraft are so inexpensive and an easy way to get into air racing. It wasn't until John and Trish Sharp changed the grading scale back in 1991 when they built an all-composite Nemesis racer. This was an airplane that was designed and built in the back rooms of the Lockheed Skunk Works. Prior to that, most of these airplanes were steel tube fuselages, wooden wings, fabric covered. Again, those were the cassette and shoestring racers, and they still are quite available and affordable today.
Still watching David Holmgren. We watched our takeoff there, our start there, and you mentioned setup being so very important, especially with regard to prop pitch. Some guys gambled on a different prop, and it didn't really work out for them.
Yeah, they have to figure out, and this only comes from experience as far as how long the race is going to be. Are you going to have time to reel that other guy in, or are you going to need to get out there ahead and try and stay ahead? So again, a lot of strategy takes place, a lot of experience is key. Matter of fact, speaking of experience, looks like we got some passing going on the course right now, Tommy.
Absolutely. Folks getting lapped out there. That's a testament to how dominating David Holmgren has been in the silver race in Formula One.
Great shot showing the taper wing overtaking the old Hershey bar, the square wing on that cassette. Now, we talk about Nemesis being kind of a state-of-the-art airplane. Well, it actually was, and it had 15 consecutive wins because of it. So a lot of these racers were very happy when they saw that airplane go to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. It kind of opened the class back up for a lot of other people with these older airplanes.
Again, these are very, very tiny aircraft. This is sort of the heritage aircraft for the sport of air racing here. And when you watch these guys get in, it's not like clambering in a big old airplane. You put it on like a suit, more or less.
They literally grease the guys up, slide them in, put the canopy over their head, and go racing. There's a good shot right there, just how tight it is. The canopy is up around your ears, not down around your shoulders.
In the penultimate lap right here, the battle for second place is tightening up just a little bit between Suede Ron and Richard Zado. Ron from Georgia, Zado flying out of Waller, Texas, and looks like Zado may be able to take Ron. Closing in on him right there. This is going to be very, very close if they get through this turn. Yeah, it's Zado overtaking Ron to take over second place.
And now they're going to be overtaking some lapped aircraft as well, which is going to play a big, huge factor in this because they have to go wide and high. They can't just dive inside of these slower airplanes, so they're going to fly a longer course. This takes pre-planning as well before you get to those slower aircraft.
Yeah, the traffic is always a consideration. Of course, David Holmgren doesn't have to worry so much. He's in what you call clean air, right, Steve?
Yeah, and clean air is huge in these airplanes. Again, not so much in a Formula One as it is in the Unlimiteds, but you got a lot of prop wash. You've got the wing vortices coming off these aircraft. So clean air is always preferred air. Your airplane is going to run smoother, it's going to run cooler, and it's going to be just an easier airplane to navigate this tight course with.
Race number 6, take a look at it right there. The dominant performance by David Holmgren.
Check the flag, check the flag.
And he takes it right there, the victory in Formula One silver. And you remember that battle for second place? And you remember Richard Zado overtaking Suede Ron just a little bit ago, and he's able to hang on to that advantage, and it looks like he is going to finish this one in second place. So a big move for him, paid off in a big way. It should be Ron finishing up in third place. Let's take a look at our...
Hold on, Tommy, hold on. We
There's...
had a pylon cut, something we haven't talked much about today. The pylons are a hollow barrel. There's judges at the pole below that. They're looking up through there. If your aircraft shows up in that view, you're penalized.
16 seconds was the penalty for Richard Zado, so that puts him in third place. Suede Ron in second place, and that'll do it for Formula One silver. When we come back, some of these planes have played big behind the scenes in World War II and other conflicts. They can move. T6 is coming up.
You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
Oh, how great is it to have Reno Tahoe as a big part of this event. The thing about Reno Tahoe is there is always something going on, whether it's bike racing, I think I recognize that kind of racing as well, and all sorts of other big events. Blues, barbecue, you name it. The infrastructure here is set up perfectly for big-time events all year long. The great natural beauty, the downtown and surrounding area make the biggest little city in the world just a perfect destination any time of year. This week, of course, it's very, very special. Racing, again, in the DNA of Reno Tahoe, whether it's the slow kind of racing or the fast kind of racing. That's kind of what we're all about today. We are going to turn to that right now as we get out to the airfield and take a look at the planes that played big time behind the scenes in World War II. This is the T6 class, these World War II trainers that got these pilots educated and got their skills sharpened. They got sharp skills to this day, the people who run these teams, and we got our race ready to go, Steve.
We sure do, Tommy. Now, these are the T6s. They even have a third style start that we've already talked about today. Now, you've seen the Grand Prix start with our formulas and our biplanes from the runway, a dead standing start. These guys actually come in from west to east, from left to right in front of our grandstands, and they hit that first turn where they go from line abreast into full race mode.
T6 racers, you may see pace underneath us, sliding to the outside. Sean, take ahead to 43 and 90. You're doing good. About 45 degrees to go to the race course, T6 racers. Starting down, powering up. Gentlemen, you are cleared for the race course.
As you heard it, our T6s are cleared onto the race course, and again, they're coming from west to east, left to right. You see them wing abreast right now, okay, right in front of the grandstands. They're still wing abreast. They start pulling ahead. They're doing everything they can. They're playing with prop controls. They've got the mixture right on the fine line. They're doing everything they can to get that fine hairline advantage over the other competitors because these airplanes are so evenly matched. When I hit this first turn, I always get a little bit nervous. You've got all these airplanes hitting this first pylon as they enter the 4.8-mile T6 course.
Yeah, this is our medium-sized course today, the 5-mile course, and we'll be doing 5 laps around it. That adds up to, I believe, 25 miles. And you're right, Steve. On our graphic, our course looks very small, but it's 5 miles around. You get these big old heavy tail draggers out there, they fill it up pretty well.
I hold my breath until they all get through that first turn every time these guys take to the sky.
On your right, man.
Now again, these are T6s. These are World War II trainers. They're all running the 1,340 cubic inch Pratt Whitney 9-cylinder air-cooled radial. Very, very evenly matched. That's a standard configuration where they can't really go outside the box. They're all trying to do anything they can to do whatever they can to get an edge over the competition. But again, these airplanes have such a tight specification list, they can clean them up aerodynamically. They have to run 100 low-lead avgas, no funny fuel, no additives permitted. They all have to have at least 50 gallons of fuel on board and a minimum aircraft weight with pilot and fuel of 4,000 pounds. So they are strictly regulated. One of the big surprises this year has been John Lomar. He's been giving fits to our 6-time champions Nick Macy and Dennis Buin. Again, no stranger to Reno, just to the podium.
I got to pick up about 1 more second on Nick Macy. That's what I got to do tomorrow. Not sure how we're going to do that. Nick's a very experienced racer. It flies a good, clean line. We had a good race today, but I just couldn't get up there with him. You know, it's addictive. It really is. There's a lot of adrenaline involved in this. I don't know. I came out here in 2007, think I'd do this once or twice, say I raced at Reno, and 11 years later, here I am still racing. So.
John Lomar from Dallas, Texas, basically in exactly the same spot he spent most of the first race. Heat 1A right there. It's just the same top 3, Nick Macy, John Lomar, and Dennis Buin. You talk about how this is such a tight spec class, and it really is like a time machine, looking at these old planes here.
White flag.
But you told me that they can do one thing, they can throw the instructor's seat out, right, for weight considerations.
Yeah, they can lighten it up a little bit so long as they don't go below that 4,000-pound weight of pilot, 50 gallons of fuel, and the aircraft. You know, they can clean it up. You see them taping off seams. You'll see them sanding off the wing walk, putting on plexiglass hubcaps, anything they can to clean it up aerodynamically. But again, they've got such a tight constraint on what they can actually do. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out to the newcomers to air racing, you hear that crackling sound out there. That's not the engine. These T6s have these big Pratt Whitney radial engine. That's the low rumble you hear. That crackling sound you hear are the propeller tips of these 109-inch metal propellers going supersonic and creating miniature sonic booms as they come around.
Boy, this one's all about Nick Macy looking for his 7th national championship. He certainly locked himself into the gold race and probably the pole position as well. All he's got to do is bring it home in the final moments of this race.
You know, Tommy, normally a stock T6 will run about 175, 185 miles an hour. These guys are getting them well into the 200s, 220, as much as 240 at times. Unheard of for a T6 back in the day.
Nick Macy, John Lomar, and Dennis Buin, the exact same order of finishes we had in race 1A, as I say, and Nick Macy on top, the 6 cat, really doing well and looking like the favorite, the one to beat in the gold race in our T6 class. Well, coming up next, we've had one jet race for you today. That was the jet silver, but these are the guys who are jockeying for position in the gold in the national championship race. This is Jet 3A on the way when we return to Reno in the STIHL National Championship Air Races.
You're watching the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
No doubt about it, we are being supremely entertained here in Reno Tahoe, and that's the whole point of coming to this place. We talk about 300 days of sunshine a year when the sun goes down. Folks, it doesn't stop. We got a surge of craft breweries and community spaces that really make happy hour just a whole lot happier than just about any place else on earth. No shortage of fun choices here in Reno as we're inside the jet of Zachary McNeil and his Vampire jet, and he's in this field that is going for the positioning in the gold round, the championship round. This is Heat 3A of jet.
As our racers are released on the course, they come down the chute, putting that nose down to get every ounce of speed out of these mighty jets as they can. They're aiming for the guide pylon. That's the light up on the mountain directly ahead of them. When they get there, they've got a sharp left turn onto this 8-mile jet course. Race on, Tommy.
Looking out front, it's number 5, Mike Steiger this time around. He's sharing his pilot duties during this week-long racing regimen with the American Spirit, the L39. That is a winner, a multiple winner of national championship.
Did him, Keller, did him.
Yeah, Rick Vanham took this aircraft to the championship podium last year as well as prior years. Mike Steiger's doing double duty with Rick this year, and the jet is holding true to form. Again, this is the pride and the flagship out of Ed Knowles' Houston fleet. American Spirit, a multi-time winner here at Reno, but right on its tail is that little de Havilland Vampire jet.
If you'll remember, back in 2015, a little Vampire jet piloted by Pete Zaccanino absolutely shocked everyone here in Reno by taking the jet gold race here. And can't say enough good things about Zach McNeil. He's been every race here, right on the tail of that L39 Albatross, the American Spirit.
Tommy, you remember how Pete did it? He did it on the last turn of the last race of the last day.
Great view inside the cockpit of Scott Farnsworth. In fact, our pilot profile, presented by Travel Nevada, Don't Fence Me In, is all about Scott Farnsworth, obsessed with aviation.
My name's Scott Farnsworth. I'm from Jupiter, Florida, just outside of Palm Beach, Florida. I'm a professional airline pilot and a professional race pilot. Actually, I started flying when I was 15, so I was able to wash some airplanes in exchange for flight time at the local airport. That grew into private pilot license. I was a completely civilian trained pilot, even though I served in the Marine Corps. And then after that, I became an airline pilot at an exceptionally young age at 22 years old. The jet class consists of some of the fastest airplanes in motorsports. The Reno National Air Races is truly a one-of-a-kind type of event that is not available to anyone else around the world. There's nowhere else on this planet that we're allowed to race these L39 and L29 jets at 50 feet and 500 miles per hour.
White flag, white flag.
Pretty much stuck in 4th place, has been through this week of racing there in the Dash Force 1. Up in front, it's Mike Steiger, but look at this, 2nd place. Hey, David Keller has been hanging on the tail of Zach McNeil throughout this entire race. He is getting close to, well, he has passed McNeil. He's taken over 2nd place.
And he did it on a clean cut. It looked like Zach McNeil kind of slid a little bit wide, and David Keller just stepped right on in and said, I'll take it. You want to hand it to me? It's mine.
This is the final lap, so there you go, some final lap heroics in search of 2nd place. Nobody's going to be able to run down this guy, though. Mike Steiger in the American Spirit. This one looks unstoppable, Steve.
Mike's done his job. He's securely placed American Spirit on the pole for tomorrow afternoon's gold race. He pretty much set Rick Vanham up for a repeat performance if Rick can keep this airplane out front, as Mike has done in this race.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
Yeah, that team be looking for their 5th national championship. There you are, Mike Steiger on top, way ahead as far as speed goes of 2nd place. Dale, you see 2nd place Zach McNeil. There was a penalty assessed to David Keller. Despite that late moment pass, he finishes in 3rd place. When we come back, it's going to be another knockdown drag out. Those behemoths of Unlimited.
The bad boys of air racing, your Unlimiteds, will be back on the course.
Recovering runway 8, wind 110 at 9er.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races are presented by Reno Tahoe. Check out visitRenoTahoe.com. Don't miss the 55th Annual STIHL National Championship Air Races. Tickets available at airrace.org. And brought to you by STIHL and the STIHL Lightning Battery System. What can you do on a single charge?
What an incredible week. This is it, the STIHL National Championship Air Races. 150,000 people will come out here to witness this, to be a part of it all, to see these national championships decided here in Reno, Tahoe. Got some great racing through 6 different classes, and right now we're getting all set to look at the marquee class, the Unlimited.
That's right, Tommy, and we have 4 pilots right here in this scene, 4 distinctly different engines. We've got a Pratt & Whitney R2800 in Argonaut. We've got a Rolls-Royce Packard V12 in Voodoo. We've got the mighty 4360 in Dreadnought and the Wright 3350 in Sawbones.
We're lined up and ready to go with 6 laps of racing around our long course, our 8-mile course here in Reno.
And once again, our Unlimiteds have been unleashed on the course. They're headed for the guide pylon. They hit that light on the mountain, and it's a sharp left turn, race on. And just as predicted, we've got our 7-time air race phenom, Steve-O Hinton, chasing down last year's Rookie of the Year, Jay Consalvi, in the 13-time national champion, Bill Tiger DeStefani's race number 7, Strega.
Well, in the previous heat, it was James Consalvi actually taking the measure of Stephen Hinton. So Consalvi with the upper hand leading into this race. Can he hold on for another one? That's the question. I mean, they're all incredible teams here, but everyone knows it's all about these 2 planes.
You know, Voodoo threw down the gauntlet just before the races came around, set a new land speed record, piston-powered, single engine, 531.53 miles an hour. We thought that would make this the airplane to beat this year, but our decorated combat veteran, Jay Consalvi, has been giving our 7-time air race phenom, Steve-O Hinton, fits this year.
You never count Strega out. You think of the force of history, 13 national championships owned by this plane right here. And these 2 battling it out once again.
Now, another airplane that is a trademark in the Unlimited category, she's the biggest airplane with the biggest engine one more time. This is the mighty Dreadnought, brought to us once again by Sanders Aircraft out of Ione, California, being flown by John Swager. That's the son-in-law of Dennis Sanders, the next generation of pilots out of Eagle's Nest.
Consalvi ahead in this race here. Again, we said he won the first race, the first matchup against these 2 in the early heat of Unlimited here. No national championships for Jay Consalvi at this point, but he's certainly a well-thought-of pilot.
Boy, that's right. But you know, young Steve-O Hinton, he's got 3 championships in Voodoo, the airplane he's flying right now, and he's got 4 in Strega. So he's proven he can win in either one of these airplanes. Kind of makes you wonder if maybe he's just laying back and setting up Jay Consalvi for the big one on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, might be a good question for Jay. And on the other hand, does Jay even have time to think about such things? He's got plenty on his mind trying to take down Stephen Hinton.
Oh, we're stoked. We're happy. The engine's still happy. It's doing exactly what we want it to be doing. I feel better on the course. I mean, heads and tails better than yesterday, and yesterday was pretty good. So, yeah, we're in a good way.
Are you getting baited?
Potentially. I mean, the thing is, the only thing that I can do, I'm not tricking anybody right now. So, the only thing I'm going to do is go out and fly my course, and if we can keep him back there, we'll keep him back there.
All right, Jay Consalvi saying, I got no aces in my sleeve at all, but boy, he's got a great airplane. Not making quite as much speed as he did in the previous heats.
You know, Tommy, keep in mind, he was last year's Unlimited Rookie of the Year. Now he's in one of the winningest airplanes of all time in Unlimited air racing in Strega. Again, these airplanes are running twice the horsepower they were ever intended to make. The wings have been clipped, the canopies have been clipped. These are all-out racers now. In fact, I had a chance to ask Jay Consalvi how Unlimited air racing compares to combat. He said, no difference.
Well, this battle in Heat 3A is all but in the hands. It is in the hands of Jay Consalvi. He takes the checkered flag. He's going to have the top spot going into the gold race, and right behind him, the Unlimited phenom, Steve Hinton in Voodoo, about 8 seconds behind Consalvi. But we got one more race to settle things. Let's take a look at those final times right there and look at the differential between the top 2 planes and the rest of the field. Those are the show, those 2 right there, Strega and Voodoo. far as our STIHL power move, well, not such a one-move situation, but an entire game plan and a flawless performance by Jay Consalvi in Strega.
Boy, it sure has been. You know, they laid off for 2016, but they came back in 17 with a vengeance. Strega has been the talk of the town all week long for Race Week 2017. Speaking of talk, the always entertaining perspective from aircraft owner Bill DeStefani.
We just came to do what we do, and that's win. Otherwise, I'd have stayed at the house. Yeah, you know, and they don't have anything for us. Hate to say it, but if they did, they'd have already showed us. The poor boys, I know that's all they had. Wait till Sunday.
Oh, wait till Sunday. Wait till gold race time. That's what we've got coming up for you. Pick yourself a favorite in each of the 6 classes, and we'll see how it works out as we settle these national championships next time on the STIHL National Championship Air Races from Reno.